Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the C Squared Social University podcast. I'm your host, Latasha James, and today I want to answer the question, which social media platform should you be on? I know that there are a ton of social media platforms out there. I'm sure that you know it as well. If you're a small business owner or any size business owner, but especially those of you who are new in your journeys, who are bootstrapping your businesses, this can feel really overwhelming to decide where you should actually be putting your time, energy, and effort. So I want to share with you the 4 questions I always ask my clients before they get started on a social media strategy to determine where they should actually be. But before I get into those 4 questions, I want to share my general theory on how many platforms you should really focus on, especially when you're first starting out. Now, listen, if you have a huge team behind you, if you're working with an agency, if you have a lot of time on your hands, then my advice for you might be a little bit different. But for those who are just starting out, I don't recommend biting off more than you can chew. This is where I see a lot of businesses actually start to fail with their content marketing and social media marketing. They get overwhelmed, they get discouraged, and they give up, and then they don't end up doing anything at all. So my recommendation is to focus on 2 platforms in the beginning. The first platform I recommend focusing on is going to be something that's a little bit more long form. What long form content is content that enables you to repurpose it onto other platforms, and that also gives you that SEO value or search engine optimization. An example of long form content is this right here, YouTube. YouTube videos are great because I'm able to take little clips and post them on all the other social platforms. And it's also fantastic because it helps me rank in search. So if you post YouTube videos every week about, warehouses or staffing or whatever it is that your business does, you're going to over time start to attract your ideal customer without you really having to do a whole lot to get in front of them. This is what we call inbound marketing, and it's fantastic. It does take a little bit of time to work. So that's why I don't recommend that it's your only focus. In addition to that longer form content type, which could be, like I said, YouTube, it could be a blog, it could be a podcast. In addition to that, though, I recommend focusing on one short form content platform as well. Short form content is going to be that short, quick, snappy content that has that more viral effect. Think TikTok, think Instagram Reels, Twitter even, depending on your industry, depending on your goals, and depending on some of the answers to the questions that you're gonna think about in a minute. So use that short form content platform to really fuel that long form content, meaning that you are posting clips, posting teasers, posting additional complementary information to those platforms. Now, again, that's just a starting point. Once you start to hire out, build your team, hire an agency, or just get more time on your hands, you can always expand and start working on more platforms. I definitely recommend it. Of course, we live in a noisy social world and it is important to, really extend your reach as much as you can. But when you're just starting out, I think that's a good place to focus, get on a good rhythm with those 2 platforms, and you'll get your systems down, you'll get your workflows down so that it's easy peasy to move on to other platforms. So which platforms should you choose for your primary, secondary platforms? First question I always recommend you asking yourself is, what is my goal with social media? Now, I get it. Most of us want to make more money in business. That's kind of, the number one goal of business overall in most cases, but it's not the only goal. And I think it's important that we're realistic with ourselves too about which stage we're at in the buyer's journey with our ideal customers. Meaning, are we a really well-known brand that as soon as we turn the lights on our social media profiles, people are going to be ready to buy from us? Or are we a brand new business who really needs to work on that brand awareness before we can start asking for money? It's important to be honest with yourself about that because, if your goal is reach or brand awareness, meaning you just want your name to be out there first and foremost, you want people to know who you are first, then I'm going to recommend you maybe start with a platform like TikTok, which has this wide appeal. It's growing out of this world. People are downloading this app all the time. You have the ability to reach a lot of people. And you also have the ability to potentially go viral, which isn't so easy on some of the legacy platforms anymore, like Facebook or Instagram, which are a little bit more saturated. Meanwhile, if your goal is something like repair your public image. You might be a legacy brand that has had some PR issues in the past. Maybe you had an issue with a disgruntled employee. Maybe you had a faulty product, or you had just not satisfied customers for your service. And you are looking to really regain trust and improve the sentiment that people have about your business. Well, in that case, you might want to do something like Twitter or LinkedIn that really enables you as the business owner or the voice of the brand to really showcase that empathy that you have for your customers and your employees, and just speak openly and kind of have that more personalized type of communication. So you've got to be realistic with yourself about what are your goals in business? What do we want social media to do for our brand? The next question I recommend asking yourself is, who am I trying to reach? Who is my target audience? Knowing who your target audience is so important. It's such a helpful thing to go through and helpful exercise to go through just with any marketing activity that you choose to do. Because I always like to say, if you're speaking to everybody, you end up reaching nobody. You need to be really honed in on who your ideal customer is going to be. And this doesn't mean that you are saying, no, anybody who doesn't match this exact archetype or this exact persona cannot buy from us. Of course, that's not what that means. But you're just painting a picture of who your most likely customer is, who the person who is most likely to buy from you or to follow you or to engage with you. So for example, if I am a makeup company that has really fun, youthful, kind of edgy cosmetics, I'm probably going to go on TikTok. Meanwhile, if I am an anti-aging skincare company, I might actually be focusing on a platform like Facebook, where I know the platform demographics tend to be a little bit older, where you might be able to reach more millennials and Gen X. Now, of course, this doesn't mean you shouldn't eventually test out TikTok, or that the youthful, edgy makeup companies shouldn't also test out Facebook. But if we're just making quick choices here, those are the directions that I would recommend taking. Each platform is kind of known for something different, right? So of course, we've got LinkedIn, which is the professional platform. And while LinkedIn is actually one of the smaller social platforms in terms of actual users on the platform, I don't want you to count this one out. There's some research out there that suggests that LinkedIn users actually tend to be more highly educated than on most any other platform, and that they also tend to have a higher household income than most any other platform. So if you are a private jet company or a luxury watch company or an expensive B2B software company, would you rather be on LinkedIn or would you rather be on TikTok? Next, I want you to ask yourself, how much time do I have to dedicate to this platform or these platforms? Each platform kind of has its own thing that it's known for in terms of content as well. So a platform like Twitter is very short and punchy. It's kind of top of mind type content. You can easily just make a tweet on your cell phone, just kind of off the top of your head. Meanwhile, if you are trying to record a YouTube video, well, that requires a lot of pre-production work, a lot of production work, a lot of post-production work. It is not a short, snappy, quick content platform. If you want to create videos though, and you don't have the time and energy for a platform like YouTube, well, maybe you could do TikToks or Reels, which the whole name of the game is just to whip out your cell phone and just kind of speak freely. So there are a lot of different content types that all have different, inputs required for them. This is also going back to the short form versus long form thing, why I recommend having a good mix of both. Because if you only have an hour a week to spend on marketing, it's going to take you a really long time in most cases to start to see huge results from a long form platform like YouTube. It takes a little bit of time to start indexing for search and really finding your footing and finding your unique recipe for those videos. So I don't want you to kind of just spend all that time waiting. Instead, you can be getting some quick wins for YouTube videos by cutting them up into TikToks, where you might be able to find an audience a little bit faster. And lastly, I want you to ask yourself, what type of content do I enjoy creating? Now, I know this might seem a little bit cheesy, but over the years, I've been creating content for over a decade. And I've really learned that you do have to like what you're doing if you are the person in charge of it. Now, if you are just the brains of the business and you don't want to be on camera, you don't want to be creating this stuff yourself, and you're ready to outsource it or hire a creator to take the lead on this, then ignore this question. But if you are bootstrapping your business, just like I was when I first started, then you definitely want to pay attention to this. You don't want to force yourself to create a type of content that you absolutely hate. I've been there. I've tried it. I've tried to write a weekly or daily blog. And while I do like writing, it just doesn't come out quickly for me. I'm not efficient at it. I just couldn't get my workflow down. And I ended up really resenting it and crashing and burning. So you do need to kind of lean into your natural strengths if you're going to be creating this content yourself. Does the idea of getting on camera just totally freak you out? Well, then don't worry about YouTube or TikTok or Instagram for now. Maybe instead focus on a podcast and a LinkedIn presence, or a podcast and a Twitter account. Does the idea of writing make you cringe? Well, then don't worry about LinkedIn or Twitter or a blog. Focus on maybe a YouTube channel and a TikTok, or YouTube and an Instagram, just somewhere where you can kind of speak really freely, post that content, and not have to worry about transcribing your thoughts into words. If you're a photographer, I'm probably going to recommend that you go on Instagram. If you really like to play around with graphic design tools, then maybe Pinterest or Instagram could be a great fit for you. So figure out what those natural strengths are, figure out those things that you actually have time for, and marry those things with your audience information and your social media goals, and you should have a pretty clear answer of where to start. Now, again, I just want to say, these are all just starting points. You don't want to read too much into things like, audiences that are typically on these platforms, because sometimes you can be surprised by who ends up liking your product or who ends up being on a platform that you didn't expect. So don't read too much into that. Just use these as starting points, use these thoughts as guides, and test. That's all you can really do. Create content for a week on each of these platforms, record your progress, record your results, and then take a look and say, all right, we got the most leads from LinkedIn. Let's go all in on LinkedIn and really focus on that platform, or whichever platform it is for you. And I also just want to say, if you are not in the business of creating all of your own content, I don't blame you. It's a lot of work. Reach out to C Squared. You can visit csquaredsocial.com to book a call and learn more about what services they have available for you. They do a really great job of really understanding your audience, understanding your business goals, and combining that with their social media and marketing expertise to build a plan for you that really works and that enables you to do what you do best. So let me know in the comments if you know what your 2 primary platforms are going to be. And if you don't know and you have questions, feel free to leave those questions down below as well. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You can subscribe to us on Spotify as well to be the first to know when we post new episodes. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.